Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see another Caro-Kann formation structure, and we'll see how we are going to play. This game is not typically came from a Caro-Kann opening, but we'll see later how it will transpose into the Caro-Kann form structure. So I have taken this game between Ivanisevic versus Pero, and it is a game played in 2007, Zupanza. So main point is that this game is an example of that how c4 c5 will be very effective, okay, and in order to gain the control of the d6 square, and also it will prevent black to get himself c6 c5 break. So after some normal moves in the opening, black has just played castling here and white played knight to 2. And this is a very logical move. White is ready to play e4 and grab the center control. So black played rook to e8. Not probably the best move. One more game actually played in this situation with bishop c7, e4, dc4, e5, knight d5, knight into c4, and white was quite better in Andrei Kane versus Kramnik Kane. So it happened long ago. But after rook e8, white will achieve. Obviously, this is white's main plan: e4, d4, knight d4, knight e4, knight e4, bishop e7. And suddenly it has transposed to this kind of Caro-Kann structure where if you see that the classical Caro-Kann formation with g3 bishop g2 setup of white. Okay, not usual, very common, but this is what happened in the game. So now basically black has given up this diagonal. So white, which is not a good way to continue. So white develops the bishop on the base square, bishop to f4, and gaining control over this d6 square. Important. Knight f6, offering the trade. Okay, black was again not prepared for this c5 move again. C5 doesn't work here. The idea is very simple. If you play c5, dc5, knight c5, and here actually knight d6. So white is gaining excellent space, majority on the queen side, later on which will flow, and very powerful two bishops. If you see, this bishop is actually better placed on g2 rather than d3 or c2, which we have usually seen in the uh, Caro-Kann formation, but here the bishop proves to be very powerful on g2. So knight f6 played, c5, and this kind of moves usually not that much great whenever you have a backward pawn, especially you are giving up this d5 square. But here, particularly in this position, it works very well. The reason is that we are going to trade off my dark square bishop and building a strong knight on d6. If the knight will come here, we'll give up our bishop later on, if possible, and we will leave with our knight on d6 and bad bishop on c8. So white will have a very superior minor piece on the board. So played knight d5 played in the game, bishop d6. That's what I've said. This is our plan. b6, even this move doesn't help black to create some counter play. Bishop d6, if they will think, knight d6, rook e7, rook e1. Okay, this knight is not doing any harm, so we will not eliminate it immediately. Knight f6, maybe queen d2, and the game will go on. So black is barely surviving here because just look at this position, how the pieces are placed. It's completely tied down. So b6 happened, and white played queen to f4, targeting the weak pawn, b5. And when black played this kind of move b5, right, usually we see the backward pawn behind. So you can already understand black has already psychologically accepted the defeat, and he has already found it himself in a very difficult situation. Psychologically he has accepted already a losing position. So queen c2, a5, rook fe1, bishop f8. Again bishop cannot take, and this bishop is going nowhere. Where the bishop will go, this is completely blocked by the pawn. So bishop into f8, rook into f8, knight d6. At last white knight lands on d6, and white's advantage is very obvious. We can just compare the knights and the bishop, and we will understand that what is a huge difference in the position. So rook to b8, bishop e4, targeting the h7 pawn, h6, queen d2. We are just simply playing some normal moves. And now the time moment arrived, and what we are saying in this situation, at the perfect moment or a good moment, we will eliminate this knight, which is the main blockader, and then we will leave with the good minor piece versus bad minor piece, good knight versus bad bishop in the middle game, and white will dominate the entire board. C into d5, rook c1. Already this is a pass pawn. Queen c7, g4, and already we are preparing for this decisive attack on the king side. So f6, f4, d4, f5, and opening up the e file, and now the rest of the thing is very easy. E5, gf5, and just look at this powerful knight on d6. If you see, this queen is completely blocked. It is not coming into the game. This bishop is completely tied down. I have a very free hand. It seems my king is completely naked, but actually this is a very helpful for my king. My king can move. I can actually come, or even king h1, rook g1, queen g2. I'll just launch a piercing attack. So bishop e8 played, rook e3, as I was saying, I will simply leave the rook, will bring the rook on the e file as well. So rook d8, rook c1, bishop c6, and just look at this bishop. This poor bishop has no square to move and just roaming around. Right. So queen g2, rook d7, queen g6, and I can understand the pain of black's position. Black is lost, but he is barely surviving. Rook e8, sorry, rook to e8, rook into d6, rook 8 e7, and black resigned. So you are losing the queen. Not only that, we are just delivering the checkmate on g7. So what we have learned, in particular this situation, c4, c5 becomes very useful, that it is not weakening our side, but it created a very juicy square, juicy d6 square on black's camp, and white exploited that square later on. So I hope you like this video. If you like it, kindly share it with your friends and subscribe, and please comment it down below what kind of video you are expecting from me. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.